Right guys, welcome back to the channel, and as you may suspect, this is another 8th edition rules roundup, mini battle report, example of rules, whatever you want to call it. There's been a couple of things come out over the last couple of days. The first one, of course, is the charge phase. The second one was the combat phase, and the third one that has been released today, in fact, is the leadership phase. So, a number of things have changed. First of all, the charge phase. You now only have to get within an inch of an enemy, not base to base. So, an example that I'm using here is this squad of Marines. You'll notice that there's only 7 of them. 3 of them have already been shot down, thanks to the Tyranid Warriors here, which will come into play a little bit later. So, the Marines have advanced forward, and they are 6.5 inches away from the Tyranid Warriors. They're now going to charge. Now normally you would need a 7 to get there, because you need this full 7 inches to reach base to base. However, in this instance, what we're going to do is we're actually going to, let's play it out, okay? So I actually need 6 inches to make it, because as you can see probably here, here's the 6-inch marker, here is the 7-inch marker. So as long as I finish my charge move within an inch, I make it. So I've just rolled 2 dice there. Unfortunately I got it off camera, and you can see that's a 9. So the way it works, or from what we've been told, is these guys would charge the 9 inches. Now if it's anything like Age of Sigmar, you kind of want to stop a little bit away from them. Now obviously I haven't worked out the Overwatch from the Tyranid Warriors. We don't know the profiles of the weapons, if they've changed, anything like that. Let's just say that Overwatch did nothing, okay? So they've charged the 7 inches to here. Hypothetically, let's say that these guys were termagants. They wouldn't be able to shoot Overwatch, it's only the targeted unit. Now from what we've seen, the Marines would get to attack first, or they get a 3-inch pile-in. So let's presume the Marines are going first. The 3-inch pile-in can get them towards the Warriors, but because these guys are within 3 inches of these Hormigans, they can actually pile in that way. So straight away you've got 3 guys that can attack this unit. Now if this unit did have guns, obviously they wouldn't have been able to overwatch because they weren't the target of the charge. But because they are within 3 inches, you've essentially dragged them into combat by simply getting within 3 inches of them when you charge. So it means, especially armies with, for example, Tyranids, where you need the synapse to be kind of nearby, it's going to be absolute crucial for the placement, but it's also crucial for the charging player to get into a position where they may want to bring an extra unit into combat. Maybe force it to fall back next turn, who knows, because obviously if you fall back you're not going to get the fire. Now, from what we understand so far, these guys would get the swing first against the Tyranids. They have said that there is some things that can interrupt that, such as a lash whip for Tyranids, for example. So this warrior here actually has a lash whip, and this kind of happens in Age of Sigmar anyway. There's an order artifact called a Quicksilver Potion, which in any combat phase that the person who has that is in a combat, you can activate it and swing before the normal order. We don't know if that's exactly going to be the case here, but the lash whip will interrupt them. It might be just that one guy, it might be the unit. We don't know 100% for certain at this stage. Let's say the lash whip does go first, and of course this guy's got a bone sword. Let's say he kills 3 Marines, right? The Marines would then get to attack back. So 2 guys are going to attack the Warriors. And if Warriors have still got 3 or 4 wounds, I can't remember. Let's say you do a couple of wounds to this one guy. He's on 1 wound. And these 2 kill 2, let's say 3, of the Hormigans. The Hormigans would then swing back, because obviously you've gone with the Lashway first, then the Marines. The Hormigans would then pile in and attack back. Let's say they kill another Marine. So the Marines have lost 4 of their number. What we've done there is deal with the charge and of course the pile in and combat phase. The reason I haven't rolled any dice is because we don't know what the stat lines for the Hormigans and the Warriors are. We don't know exactly which way around combats are going to work until we get the full rules. However, what they've said is rather than taking leadership checks, now I know Space Marines have and they shall know no fear, but does that mean that fear is being removed from monstrous creatures? Probably. It doesn't have it in Age of Sigmar. There is a good possibility that that is the case though. What you do here in the battle shock phase, or sorry, the leadership phase as it's being called, you basically take a morale check by rolling a dice and adding the total number of marine or models that you've lost. Subtract your leadership from however many over the leadership you are, you lose that many more models. They've said essentially there's going to be very, very few things that are going to be immune to it. Now, the reason I've chose these models is to show you how much it can actually affect the various models and everything. So, we know Marines have a leadership of 8. We've lost 4 here. We've already lost 3 in the shooting phase earlier, for whatever reason. So what you would do is you would roll a dice, in which case of 2. We've lost 7 Marines, which is a total of 9. However, Marines leadership is only 8. I'm 1 point over it, so I would actually lose 1 more Marine. That's not bad, that's not bad. You took a lot of casualties, yes, I rolled low, but that's the way it's kind of working, and I don't know whether that's a good thing. It works well in Age of Sigmar. We'll have to see how it translates to 40k. Now, this is where I feel it's more beneficial to take high wound models in small units. The Tyranid Warriors, for example, took 2 or 3 wounds here, but they didn't lose any models. So because they didn't lose any models, these don't need to take a leadership check, even though this guy is on 1 wound. So it makes a difference. But we've also got these guys here. Now, their leadership, if it's the same, is 6. They've lost 3, so 3 plus 1 is 4. They pass their leadership check, so they stay where they are. Now, they have said, obviously, that there is other things that can affect it, such as the example they used was, I think it was a Chaos Sorcerer. Basically, anyone from the same faction within a certain range of him can use his leadership. So, I'm guessing, there's going to be unique things in each army that are going to allow that. So, I'm going to hazard a guess that Synapse means that anybody who is a Synapse creature can give their leadership to these guys. So I think Warriors are leadership 7 or 8, and Hormigans are leadership 4, for example, 6. So, the extra 2 counts, especially when you've got weak models like this. Now, a lot of people won't be used to the way that this mechanic works, but it's very back and forth. It can hurt single wound units that are very easy to kill like this. But I'm guessing, like I said there with Synapse, they're probably going to have something in the rules for each faction that are going to help them out a little bit. Tau Fire Warriors, for example, if they're within a certain range of an ethereal, I'm going to hazard a guess that they can use his leadership. And there's going to be different bits and pieces like that that you'll hopefully see in the game. Bear in mind though, this is just theory at this point. Now there is modifiers to things that's going to affect this. For example, I'm just going to grab something. An Eldar Hemlock. This is Sean's Hemlock. Everything basically has, I think they said it was -1 to their leadership. So in this instance, the Space Marines would have only been leadership 7. And if I then obviously rolled what I had, I would have actually lost another 1. So it's still helpful if you can inflict the casualties, to have the minus leadership modifiers, because then when you do inflict the casualties, you obviously have to, at the end of the phase, work that out. And it's gonna hurt armies, it is. But it's a very tactical way of playing, because regardless of who wins the combat, although the Marines lost here, you know, we killed 4 of them. In fact, they didn't lose, but the Marines won by doing 2 wounds here and 3 here, that's 5. They lost 4, so the Marines actually won by 1. But it's interesting because they still had to take the leadership check because they lost models in their turn, or during that player turn. So this is almost a direct port of Age of Sigmar, and I don't know about you, but it's totally going to change the way that we play 40k. It's going to be an entirely new game that we've not played. I'm loving Age of Sigmar at the minute, and I'm really, really excited about the changes that are coming for 40k. So, that's it, folks. I hope that has explained a few things that people may not know how to play, or how to interpret what's there. That's my interpretation of it, but like I said, I'm really excited about it. I'm going to keep doing videos like this as more rules come out, and hopefully, you know, in a few weeks' time, once we get bits and pieces more, we'll maybe try and get kind of a, you know, as much of a game as possible and theorise how a game would actually play out. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.